Everybody, we could all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Say the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to all of our guests, and I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is general public comment. We have nobody scheduled for this part of the meeting. Next item is the consent agenda. Is there any item that any board member requests to be removed? If not, is there a motion for approval? So moved. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Before we move on with the recommendations from the Fiscal Task Force, I'd like to show the video that Congressman Splasky's office has put together talking about the rail expansion in Northwest Indiana.
A lot of the people living in Northwest Indiana are actually being hindered by no public transportation.
Rail makes sense.
It's time to catch up with the future.
Expansion of a rail system would just bring us all closer together.
We have to have that sense of urgency that we can't put this off till tomorrow. We're in this situation today because people have failed to act in the past. The problem we've had since 1970 is we have lost our children. We have lost 9.6% of our population since 1970, despite the fact that the country as a whole has grown by more than 50%.
My son graduated from college, my daughter graduated from college. My son, hey, I want to live downtown in a city. Why? Well, that's where it's happening.
We are in the environs of one of those great city-states, the city of Chicago, whose average job pays more than 39% what is paid in Northwest Indiana.
And that is a trend, and I see it with his friends that went to college. It's not just him. His friends that he graduated from college, my daughter's friends graduated from college, a lot of them are living that lifestyle now, and that's where they want to go.
The median income in Lake County, Indiana today is 15.25% lower than it was in 1970. And the average person living in Lake County today is 43% older than they were in 1970 because the children have not come back.
Well, how can we keep those kids? What are we doing to make it more appealing and more attractive for emerging leaders, young professionals to stay, live, grow their families in a particular area?
I think that if you had alternative means to get to Chicago in a relatively easy amount of time, a lot of those people would be happy to move out, get away from some of that congestion, and still yet be car-free.
Everywhere else, I've been to Europe, and there's trains going everywhere. It's just smart for big city, and Northwest Indiana is big city now.
Well, my typical commute in the morning is I have to factor in an hour and 15 minutes to get from my home to my place of employment, which is downtown Chicago. If they extended the South Shore into the South Lake area, that would benefit me tremendously. My mornings, I take advantage. I actually break it down. As soon as I get on the train, I'm checking emails to make sure that I know what's going to happen as soon as I walk into the office.
But now, because people are connected through technology, they literally are working. And everybody can actually be working and be productive on the train. So they're not taking the hit on their time that they used to on a commute. But if they're driving a car, that can't happen.
And we have to again recognize that is the economic opportunity of the future.
From that business perspective, by having that rail and showing other businesses and corporations that's looking to move, and that might be an attraction for economic development.
Well, if you look along some of the spurs over in Illinois where they have those types of commuter rail systems, along any one of those stops you'll see some coffee shops, you'll see some of the drug stores, and then the commercial infrastructure that comes along with it. All of those provide jobs not only for the people that do the construction, but the people that work in those buildings after they're built.
If we get the commuter rail through, property values will go up.
This client recently that I just sold a house to, he has a firm in the Loop. What we're seeing then is them asking me, where's the local train station at? And I said, well, sir, I'm sorry, we don't have a train station here in St. John, Indiana. And he's like, well, wait a minute. If I go out to the Lamont area, or if I go to Orland, Illinois, there's a train there. How come you guys don't have one here? And I really had no answer for him.
The time to act is now. It is a generational imperative.
Rail makes sense, and it makes economic sense, and it makes social sense, and it's the community of the future.
I think we have the leadership in place. I think we sit in the perfect seat by being a neighboring community of Chicago.
We work in the city when we bring our dollars back here and we spend them in Indiana.
Progress is here. It's going to happen. So let's take advantage of that opportunity and seize the moment.
Maybe we can't solve the world's problems tomorrow, but we can certainly put Northwest Indiana on the right track now.
Sklaski's office for putting that video together. This is an exciting day for the RDA. When we met, we talked about the strategic plan when the RDA was formed, and the three main areas they're going to look at was lakefront development, airport expansion, and surface transportation, with the rail expansion being the key part of the surface transportation. There's been a lot of work done by Congressman Sklaski's office that we appreciate, and that we want to be a partner in this project to help with the local match. From the dollars that we're seeing for the local match, there needs to be about $16 million raised locally to move forward with the West Lake Corridor expansion. Here at the RDA, we're recommending that we fund $8 million annually for the capital contribution to come up with this $16 million need for the West Lake Corridor expansion here. We also want to thank Munster. They've committed 34% of their seeded funds going forward, and we hope that the other locals will get on board and work with the Congressman's office and us to come up with this match so we can move forward with this exciting project for Northwest Indiana. And Lake County has committed $2 million also for this fund going forward. So if you, we're at about a 5.7 deficit right now. Congressman Sklaski has kind of set end of March as our deadline for meeting this, and we're excited. We feel this is a very reasonable goal, and we can make this happen without raising taxes here in Lake County. So I'd like to recommend and see if there's a motion from the floor to award the $8 million annual capital contribution to support the Westlake expansion.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, part of the application process, we need to file an environmental study, a NEPA or NEPA? NEPA study along with NICD. And NICD is going to put up $1.9 million, and the RDA, they have asked for us to support up to $1 million to complete this needed study to file our application. Is there a motion to approve up to?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Finally, staying with the NICD, there is a ask for a $5,000 grant to do the operation study to allow bikes on train, which has been a need. So is there a motion for a $5,000 grant?
Is that size? So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Given the action recently, just momentarily ago, taken by the board regarding the recommendation of the fiscal task force, I think this is a watershed moment in Northwest Indiana, particularly for the two areas that I'm going to report on: the surface transportation and the expansion of Gary Chicago International Airport. I think you gave credit to the congressman, Mr. Chairman, for the job that they did on the video, and I think it's, and Mark Lopez is here, and we want to thank Mark for his involvement in that. It certainly tells the story that we on the Surface Transportation Working Group have been studying and have been discovering for probably the last year and a half, along with myself and Mr. Sheldrake and Mr. Hanna and members of the management of NICD, and on occasion a member of their board, and also the consultants that we've had, URS. Clearly, I think what you saw in the video today was a culmination of all the information and the data that we have been exposed to in the last year and a half that really embraces and emphasizes the need for the extension and the expansion of this rail. So again, and one of the things we talked about, the action that we took just a few minutes ago regarding the bikes on the train came out of those discussions, Mr. Chairman, and I'm happy to see that we as a board are reaching out a hand to help NICD accomplish that, because it is, if you look at major communities around this country that have commuter trains and commuter transportation, bikes on trains are an essential. So we are really kind of coming in now to the 21st century, where we've probably been back in the not the 20th century, maybe the 18th or 19th century, I'm not quite sure.
Next is the general public comment. Mr. Mark Lopez.
Thank you very much, Chairman. My name is Mark Lopez. I'm here on behalf of Congressman Pete Visklowski. Would like to begin by thanking the Regional Development Authority, allowing the public to have the opportunity to make comments such as these. To begin, we'd like to thank each member of the Regional Development Authority Board of Directors. Each of you were selected by either the mayors of Gary, East Chicago, Hammond, the counties of Lake Porter, or the state of Indiana. And you were chosen not simply because of your individual successes, but because of your willingness to come together and collectively work for the greater good of Northwest Indiana and for the current and future generations of this area. And Congressman Pete Visklowski appreciates your selfless dedication to improving our current circumstances. The action the Board of Directors took today is a very profound and fundamental step toward extending the South Shore rail line, and not intending to single out any one particular individual. But in these settings, we'd like to point out that it was the foresight of a former City of Hammond councilperson, Councilwoman Janet Moran, who in the early 1990s worked with the City of Hammond's administration to secure federal funding to acquire the right-of-way known as the old Monon rail line. That rail line extends from the Illinois line through the City of Hammond down to approximately Main Street in Dyer, Indiana. And with the action taken today, the Regional Development Authority has built upon that foresight and made that continued investment to make that type of transformational, intergenerational opportunities. And would like to point out, not to reiterate the contents of the video that was shown earlier, but the reality is, since 1970, we have lost approximately 9.6% of our population, while the nation as a whole has grown by 53%. And since 1970, we have seen a reduction in the average household income in Northwest Indiana, and it's now down 15.25%. And as pointed out, if you lived in Lake County in 1970, on average today you are 43% older. And we have to do something to reverse these trends, which is what brings us here today. And the Congressman cannot thank each of you enough for your tireless dedication and efforts to improve on our situation. But would point out, this is not something new to Lake County, Indiana. People that came before us, the people that helped create the economic foundation that we currently enjoy, they built interstates, they built harbors, they built ports, they built steel mills, they built oil refineries. And yes, they built a South Shore rail line. And we're here today and want to thank each of you for your leadership, your dedication, and your service to the greater community of Northwest Indiana, to helping make this vision a reality and helping improve the economic opportunities for all the current residents and future residents. Because the only way to reverse those trends that were referenced in that video is to keep our young people here and to attract new, talented young individuals to locate here. And with that, bring the economy and the jobs and the opportunities that growing areas across this nation are experiencing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez, and we thank you and your office for leading this effort for the rail expansion in Northwest Indiana. Next, Mr. Joe Wazolik.
Yep, very good. Very good. I just have a short prepared statement. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in front of you this afternoon. My name is Joe Wazolik. I'm the President-elect and Chairman of Government Affairs for the Greater Northwest Indiana Association of Realtors. We represent the collective voices of approximately 1,800 realtors in Lake, Porter, Jasper, and Newton counties, and have taken a position in support of increased investment in the South Shore commuter rail with the ultimate goal of connecting the Chicago market with Northwest Indiana. Our members sell Northwest Indiana on a daily basis and continually have to respond to the question, as we saw in the video, where's the local train station in relation to this house? And unfortunately, the answer is usually we don't have one, or it's way over there. Many naysayers speak about the initial cost of the project or that the rail line is not self-sustaining. We know that these are serious questions that must be answered, but answered with the value of the benefits this investment is expected to bring. We, the real estate professionals of Northwest Indiana, view the expansion of the South Shore as an investment in our regional future that is no different than the investments our grandparents and parents made for us in the national, state, and local road systems. The investment in the South Shore extension is a natural progression in our transportation infrastructure. A recent study reported the South Shore extension of Dyer is expected to result in 5,600 new daily riders who would be infusing an estimated $147 million a year in wages into our economy. Countless local jobs are expected to be created by the additional local spending these wages would bring. These new jobs, in turn, would generate increased local income tax revenue for our local governments that are outside the limits of the property tax caps. We all talk about working to attract companies who can provide high-paying wages. The IEDC, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, has paved the way with its myriad of corporate relocation incentives. Locally, we provide even more through various tax abatement policies, but many times we find that providing these incentives is just not enough. The major employers who we all hope to attract are also looking for the intangible quality of life amenities a location offers, many of which are only found in the major cities such as Chicago. Site selection committees often include easily accessible commuter rail as an integral part of the infrastructure they desire, an infrastructure that will ensure a stable, high-quality workforce who expect commuter rail as part of their modes of transportation. Today's a wonderful first step in pooling our resources for our regional future, but we all know more needs to be done. We, the 1,800 strong members of the Greater Northwest Indiana Association of Realtors, encourage all local governments to embrace the expansion of the South Shore as a need and not a want, as some already have done, and to work collectively to make the hard decisions in the investment in our regional future. Congressman Visclosky said it best. I believe that expanding the South Shore rail line is a transformational opportunity for Northwest Indiana. Join me in connecting our great region to the Chicago economy and investing in the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Mr. Ty Warner.
I'm Ty Warner. I'm Executive Director with the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, or NERPC. NERPC has, I was going to speak on the South Shore extension. NERPC has a long history of support for this project. There was a 2007 resolution in conjunction with the Northwestern Indiana Forum, and also most recently in December, the Commission also renewed its support for expansion of rail in Northwestern Indiana. Three things and three ways that NERPC sees this as particularly helping the 2040 Comprehensive Regional Plan that was adopted in 2011. First of those has to do with transit, frankly. The need for regional transit, we know this has been an ongoing challenge to find a sustainable source of funding for transit. Commuter rail can help that picture because it provides that backbone for transit to finally get connected throughout the region. The other means is, of course, to be able to get jobs and get 2 jobs in Chicago and have the workforce that we have here to be able to access those jobs is critical for the economy of the whole region. And the third critical element is the whole notion of livable centers and transit-oriented development that is a very strong part of the comprehensive regional plan. And this will go a long way towards helping to realize that vision. NERPC just helped to link to that video on its social media today. We'll be posting that video on our website soon and having a link to it there. and just want to assure the RDA that NERC stands ready to assist, to be able to help through the federal requirements, to be able to have this project finally be realized as nothing but beneficial towards that vision that was laid out in the comprehensive regional plan. So thank you.
Thank you very much.